Hi. I was doing some reflecting, as I love to do, and I was thinking back to this panel that I was on a couple weeks ago for my school, and have realized that it's been 2 years since I graduated college. And in those 2 years, I've learned a lot. I have grown a lot. I have gotten some things right off the bat, and I've gotten many more things wrong, and have had to learn the harder way. So, did I come on here in case you're maybe in this kind of transitional time in your life? And maybe you've already passed it or you're not even there yet, but thought I'd come on here and maybe share some like 5 learnings that for some I may still be learning, but thought I'd come on and share. So first, just to get into it, is one of the biggest lessons, or I feel like I knew to expect this, but once you experience it, it's a little bit different, was how there is no specific start or end to this time in your life. I feel like before it was like, okay, well, you have like summer break or winter break, or you finish your year and then you start a new school year. And I feel like it was more of a linear path, at least my understanding of what I was to do next. Like you like do well in high school to like hopefully go to a good university, and then your college, and then you do good in college to then hopefully get a good job, and then let's say here you are, good job, but then you're like, okay, well, what's next? Where to from here? And I feel like that was just a little bit of a lesson that maybe I'm still learning, of when there is no set in stone start and end. It's really up to you to be in that driver's seat and really think about, is the path I'm going down the path I want to stay on, or do I want to choose something different? And so for this, it's really asking yourself, taking the time. I feel like I tend to be the type of person that's like, go, 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 go. I have to achieve this, and I have to do this and this and that. But then taking the time to actually pause and ask yourself, do I like what I'm doing? Do I see myself, do I want to keep doing this? Do I see myself doing this like 5-10 years from now? Do I see the people that are like in front of me? Is that who I want to be? What are the things that I don't like about what I'm doing? What are the things that I do like? And really start creating this narrative of like, okay, where is it that I'm going? What is it that I'm doing? Is this aligning? Is this filling my cup? Do I feel happy? Do I feel satisfied? Am I growing? Am I learning? And really start asking these questions. And that's kind of how you start to think about, okay, maybe now it's time to make a change, or maybe now it's time to share what my goals are to help people help me better align with where I want to be. And you're so early in your career too that this is your prime time to ask yourself, what do I like? I know there's like that very serious question, like what do you want to be when you grow up? And you're like, I don't know. Well, like apparently now we're grown and now we're doing things as our life, but we can change and choose something different. So this is that prime time to think about, reflect, take the auto seat. No one's telling you need to, this is what's next. No one's telling you this is ending and this is what's coming up. So that's kind of where I'm at now, trying to be more purposeful in that reflection, in that, is this where I want to go? Do I like where I'm going? So I feel like that's number one. One, there's no start and end. It's up to you to take the driver's seat and control where you're going. Number two is, especially when you're new to something, as I was when I was like starting my first job, I was just struggling because I felt like I was so bad at it. I felt like I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm really struggling. I don't know what's happening. I'm in that conversation. I have no idea. Maybe I understood 2 words from that whole half an hour call. What is even happening? And then I feel like it can get so easy to then be stuck in this, like, not stuck, but then start thinking about, okay, like, well, should I be here? Like, I don't know, like, am I up for this? And yes, it's normal. You are there because you belong there, or else you wouldn't be there. And for many who are in this post-graduation period, this is your first job. And maybe you had internships or whatever. Maybe you did have like full-time jobs, but if you're in like this new industry or career, or like quote unquote like, you know, like your first real job, not that your previous jobs weren't real jobs, but like maybe it's like a little bit different. Basically anything where you're new at something, you're gonna be bad at it. And that's normal because that means, again, you have space to grow and learn. And if you think about it, I feel like if you thought about where you were your first year to where you were your last year, your senior year, you were definitely struggling your first year, and by the fourth year you figured it out and you felt like so good and you were like, yes, I'm like in my groove, in my vibe. So you're in that mentality of like, I know what's happening, I know what to expect, like I have this. To then imagine you're back to square one, you're back to your first year, you're a freshman basically at your job. So give yourself some grace, give yourself some compassion, because you're just starting anew. So it's okay to be bad at something. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be there. Doesn't mean that like if you see everybody else figuring it out, well, maybe they've had more time to figure it out. Like they've been at this company, they've been at this job for more time, and maybe what you're doing is a little bit just flexing some of the skill sets that you didn't have before. So that's my number one. Like, I know it can be tough when you feel like you're doing things wrong, or you feel like you don't know things and you're like, well, I'm like, was given this job, I'm hired, I want to do good. Especially feel like if you're a little bit of an overachiever, like I happen to be, learning to give myself grace, especially when you're in that learning stage, and you'll get better at it. And then people can know and be like, wow, she really has a learning attitude. She's open to learning. She asks good questions. She may not know in the beginning, but she's quick to learn and she doesn't let it discourage you. So I feel like good time to like really think about just giving yourself some grace. It's okay to make mistakes. You're probably expected to make some mistakes. Ask for help. This is, hopefully you have a supportive team. Give yourself grace when it comes to like how you're quote unquote performing, because you're doing the thing, and ask for help if you need it. So my third thing is on the note of friendships, and most importantly, nurturing your friendships, especially once you're out of college. I heard this and I expected this, and yet I still feel like I could have done a little better there, where people were like, oh yeah, when you're in school or when you're a student, it's so much easier to keep up with your friends because you might see them every day or every couple of days, either in your like classes and your clubs, or you grab lunch together, you're living in the same dorm, or you're all in the same campus. Once you all graduate, you all may go your different path. You may move to different cities, you may move to different country, you may be on different time zones, or even if you're in the same city, like you may just have such a busy life of trying to figure out life and navigating what it means to now be working full-time, and then also like still, I don't know, whatever you prioritized. And so the importance of nurturing your friendships and nurturing your relationships is so important, because it can be so easy to all of a sudden be like, oh, I haven't seen my really good friend in like 3 months, and you're like, hello, what happened? And so I'm gonna say, like, to this point, it may be hard to keep up with all your friends, and maybe you like periodically try to keep up with different friend groups, or if you have like one big friend group. I didn't have one big friend group. I feel like I had different friend groups in different circles. It might be a little bit easier to keep up with your bigger friend group, but it's really important to have people, have your community, especially if you all graduated together, you're all probably going through something similar. It may look a little bit different because you're in different industries, but it's kind of like you're all realizing things together and learning things together and going through the trials and tribulations together. So it's just good to have like your friends. They've seen you through your previous stage of life, and now you're entering a new one. So make sure you nurture your friendships, whether that's like a quick call, a text, hey, this reminded me of you, or like being intentional. Like, I feel like my friends send me calendar invite to things, and I love them for it. They will literally send me a calendar invite for like events, or it's like holiday time, you can do cute little holiday things. So prioritize your friendships. Or maybe like at different points of your life you might have different priorities. I think about myself of like having like different buckets of like priorities and things that are important to me, And so maybe at one point you need to focus and prioritize different aspects of what's important to you, but don't neglect your friendships too long is what I'll say. Like, they're really there for you. They're going to carry you. So that's my tip there. My fourth tip is maybe on the other side. Let's say you move to a new city, or you maybe are like, your friends have different schedules, or you just feel like you want to make more friends. Making friends when you're an adult is, I'd say, can be harder than when you're a student, just because you have like less. I feel like when you're a student, you're a little bit more open to making friends. Either you're in the same community and you see each other often, it's a lot easier to be more organic, or you're in different clubs, or you play sports and you kind of befriend them there. Very similarly, an approach to making friends, and also kind of how to not lose yourself while being like in your work, is to prioritize your hobbies. I feel like I have taken up so many random hobbies after I graduated. I think I took up like stand-up comedy, I took up aerial yoga, I feel like I'm in my like coloring book phase, like very random hobbies. But I think it's a good way to break out of like the 9 to 5 cycle and just waking up, working, coming home, having dinner, going to bed. I feel like having hobbies here and there, and especially ones that give you community and allow you to meet new people, is just a great way to be social and, feel like you are prioritizing yourself outside of your work. And it's your time to discover who you are too, right? Like, this is your time to be able to try new things, and you don't have quote unquote homework. You may have like work that's like taking a lot of your time, but make sure you're prioritizing yourself and like trying new things, or keeping up with the hobbies that you had before. Let's say you really love you were in a soccer, you can play, find a team that plays soccer. If you're really into dance, maybe there's a dance club. If you're really into learning languages, maybe you can still take classes. And so I feel like it's just important to make sure that you are keeping up with your hobbies and not letting work consume you. This is also maybe, I don't know I think that was my fourth tip. I think my fifth tip kind of also flows nicely into that, which is, and I've kind of been like nudging it throughout this time. This is your time to figure out who you are. And I know that's such a big question of like, okay, like, who am I? Like, that's like a little bit scary. I don't know who I am. I'm figuring it out, right? I'm figuring it out. I'm figuring out who I am as a person. But this is your time now to break out of, I feel like, break out of having to identify yourself by the things you do. You are not just a student. You are not just an employee. You are not just a partner. You are not just a friend. All these things make up who you are, and maybe you're a really great friend, and maybe you're a really great like employee or whatever it may be, but that's not who you are. And so I feel like right now I'm in this period of, I don't want to let what I do define who I am. And so now is a really good time to, like, as you go into this new stage of adulthood, to take some time and figure out, like, who am I? Like, what are the characteristics? Are these the values that I want to keep? Are these the people that reflect the type of people that I want to be? Are my friends reflective of who I am as the values or the type of character of people that they are? Am I doing the things that are setting me up to be happy, to be healthy, to whatever your priorities are? And I feel like this is just your time and I know you have your whole life. The other thing I'll say, you have your whole life ahead of you to figure out who you are. But I think you're in a really exciting time. I think this is a really exciting time in your early, assuming that you like went to college, like your 4 years, like you're probably, and then you went to college earlier on in your years, you're in your early 20s. I feel like it's prime time to start thinking about, you don't even have to think about it. Just do things that excite you. Do things that align with who you are. Trial and error. And I feel like that's how you start getting a sense of who you are, who your identity is, and who you want to be as a person. And so, yeah, those are my 5. I'm pretty sure that was 5 tips on my life lessons, my lessons learned. So just recap. because who doesn't like a good recap? Number one is when there's no certain end to things, take the driver's seat. You get to decide what happens next. Two, it's okay to be bad at something in the beginning. You're just starting off. It's okay. You're expected to be in a time zone or be in a time period where you are growing and learning. So if you make mistakes, it's okay. Grow and learn and move forward. It's not the be all end all, hopefully, in your job. The third one is make sure that you are nurturing your relationships, nurturing your friendships. Make sure you still have a good community around you, because they're the people who are gonna be with you throughout all the transitions in life. The fourth one is to that same effect. Make sure that you got you. Make sure that you have yourself, and are prioritizing yourself and your hobbies and your interests and trying new things. And that's my fifth one. And being an individual and figuring out who you are, and just taking the time to like reflect and be young and have fun and enjoy and be responsible and whatever makes your heart happy. This is your time. So hope you enjoyed. Those are my thoughts, just stream of thoughts on post-graduation, my lessons learned. There's a bunch that I'm still learning. Maybe if any of you have any tips or things that you've been going through in this post-graduation time, leave it down below. All our journeys are going to look different. We have so many different things that happen in our lives. We'll deal with different cards. But it's kind of nice that we're not the only ones that are going through this. We won't be the last ones. We're not the first ones. So you got this. Sending love, sending light, and I will talk to you later.